Hi, hello, welcome to my channel. I'm Anne and today I'm going to be bringing you a list of BIPOC books that are on my shelves that I'm very excited to read. So there has been a lot of controversy and discussions about race and BIPOC authors within the bookish community on Threads and Instagram, especially with things that have been brought up about certain authors. So I definitely want to be more conscious about what I'm talking about on these videos and on my channels, because I have a voice. I am a privileged white woman and I think it is important that I speak out and talk about my love and allyship towards our BIPOC creators. So I have a stack of books beside me that are most of the BIPOC books that I really want to get to, and I'm very excited to have on my bookshelves. So the first author that I kind of want to talk about is N.K. Jemisin. So I have her 5th season series, and I also have the Inheritance trilogy in this massive bind up. So N.K. Jemisin is a sci-fi fantasy author who writes some really great stuff. So I've had this on my shelf for quite a while and I'm very excited to read it, but I have read the 5th season. I read this last year, I think, and I really enjoyed it, and I will definitely be rereading this. But in this one, it's very hard to explain. We're following 3 different characters in this story, and I'm just going to read the back because I find it very hard to explain because there's so much that happens within this. But this is a dystopian novel where certain people have these magic and they are kind of looked down upon and are hunted. So this is the way the world ends for the last time. It starts with the Great Red Rift, across the heart of the world's sole continent, spewing ash that blots out the sun. It starts with death, with a murdered son and a missing daughter. It starts with betrayal and long dormant wounds rising up to fester. This is the stillness, a land long familiar with catastrophe, where the power of the earth is wielded as a weapon and where there is no mercy. So we're basically following one of our main characters, and she comes home and finds that her husband has murdered her son and their daughter, and has run away and taken their daughter. So she goes on this mission to hunt them down and find her daughter. And we're just following some different characters throughout this. And it's just so good. I did find it to be a little bit of a slower read and slow going, but it's definitely something that I want to continue because I have both of these books, The Obelisk Gate and The Stone Sky, still on my TBR. So I will be rereading this some point and then continuing on with the series because it is so good. Then we have the Inheritance trilogy. So this is her whole trilogy in this bind up, and it is massive. I got this secondhand at the secondhand bookshop and it was amazing. I got it for $6 and I think it's just perfect. But I actually can't remember what this is about. Do we have no, we don't have a synopsis on that book, so let me just pull one up real quick. So Yandara is an outcast from the barbarian north, but when her mother dies under mysterious circumstances, she is summoned to the majestic city of Sky. There, to her shock, Yane is named an heiress to the king, but the throne of 100,000 kingdoms is not easily won, and Yane is thrust into a vicious power struggle. So I've heard really good things about this. I know that Regan from Peruse Project read it and really loved it, so I'm very excited to definitely work my way through this chunky boy. The next one that I have is The Adventures of Amina El Sarafi by Shannon Chakraborty, and this is a pirate story. We're following an older female character who is a retired pirate, and she ends up getting pulled back in for one last mission where she has to offer a job and no bandit could refuse. She jumps at this chance for one final adventure with her old crew that will make her a legend. So we're following that as she is on this journey of being a pirate one more time and kind of trying to make herself this legendary pirate queen sort of thing. So I'm very excited for this one. And yeah, a pirate of infamy and one of the most storied and scandalous captains to ever sail the 7 seas. I've been really loving my pirate stories lately, so I am very excited to check this. I know Shannon Chakraborty wrote the City of Brass series, which is another series that I really want to get to at some point, but I just don't own it at the moment. The next book that I have is The Final Strife by Sarah El Arifi. I read Faebound by Sarah El Arifi last year and I loved it, and I'm very excited for Cursebound that's going to be coming out. But this is her trilogy that has just been finished off as of last year. So in this one, we're following our characters. So the Empire rules by blood. The TBR, a set of trials held every 10 years to find the next emperor rulers of the empire, is about to begin. Shiloh was destined to win the trials. Stolen by blue-blooded rebels as an infant, she was raised with a duster's heart. Forged as a weapon to bring down the empire from within, the bright future has turned to dust. But Shiloh wasn't made to sparkle. She was born to burn, and the trials draw near. It's time for her to decide. Will she rule the empire or destroy it? So I remember that Becca in the books has really, really enjoyed this one, and she talked about it where the cast of this world is based on the color of your blood. So I know that these children were kind of swapped out. So the blue bloods took some of the red bloods and raised them as blue bloods so they could see what the red bloods were doing to the poorer side of this community and world, and kind of showing them that it's not right, and kind of building them up to take over and kind of throw this government / empire down, basically. So I'm very, very excited for this one as well. I've heard great things, and now that the trilogy is finished, it's definitely higher on my TBR. Then we have Babel by R.F. Kuang. I've read a bunch from R.F. Kuang before. I read the Poppy War trilogy, and I've read Yellowface, and I loved both of those. Especially the Poppy War trilogy is one of my favorite trilogies of all time. But we have Babel, which is her dark academia sort of story, which I'm very excited. So we're following this one we're following our character who is set in Oxford 1836. And we have a young Canton immigrant who was orphaned and has been taken in by this English guy and brought to this university where the magic is based on language, and it's very, very interesting. So we're kind of looking at racism and colonialism and things like that within a dark academia setting, which I think is really, really interesting. So an act of translation is always an act of betrayal. Oxford 1836. The city is of dreaming spires. It is the centre of all knowledge and progress in the world, and at its heart is Babel, Oxford University's prestigious Royal Institute of Translation, the power from which all the power of the empire flows. Orphaned in Canton and brought to England by a mysterious guardian, Robin Swift thought Babel a paradise, until it became a prison. But can a student stand against an empire? So again, another one that I'm very, very excited to check out, and I know that there is a lot of important topics discussed within this one. Then we have the Book of Azrael by Amber V. Nicole. I've had this on my Kindle for a long time, but I think when it was indie published, and then I never picked it up, but now it is traditionally published by Headline Eternal. And I found it at my local bookshop, so I thought I would pick it. Oh my god, the writing is tiny. But this is a fantasy romance, and that's all I know about it. I know I follow Amber on Instagram, and I love all of her content, but I just haven't had the chance to pick this one up. And she is chunky boy for a first book in a fantasy romance. But where there are gods, there are also monsters. For 1,000 years, the Etherworld has known peace, until now. Many centuries ago, desperate to save her dying sister, Diana made a deal with Caden, a monster far worse than any nightmare. Locked in servitude to him, she is forced to hunt down an ancient relic held by her most dangerous enemies, an army led by Samkio, the World Ender. After the gods' war, Samkio hid from everything, denying his crown and deserting his people. Now an attack on those he loves sends him back to the realm he never wished to return to, and into the sights of an enemy he had hoped to forget. With every world at stake, Diana and Samkio are forced to set aside their animosity and work together before all is lost. It sounds really good. I've seen the art and I'm very intrigued by this one, and we have this very beautiful map in here. But yeah, I've heard a lot about this, and I know that the fourth book is going to be coming out soon in the series, so that makes it even more intriguing. Another one that I've had on my shelves for quite a long time is A Kata Witch by Nnedi Okorafor. I just read Binti 2 days ago and I really, really enjoyed it, so I'm definitely more intrigued now to pick up this one. But we have Sunny Nazue lives in Nigeria, but she was born in New York City. Her features are West African, but she's albino. She's a terrific athlete, but can't go out in the sun to play soccer. There seems to be no place where she fits in, and then she discovers something amazing. She is a free agent with latent magical power. and she has a lot of catching up to do. Soon she's part of a quartet of magic students studying the invisible and invisible, learning to change reality. But just as she's finding her footing, Sunny and her friends are asked by the magical authorities to help track down a career criminal who knows magic too. Will their training be enough to help them against a threat whose powers greatly outnumber theirs? I know this is an older novel from Nydia Okorafor, but I'm very, very intrigued about this one. And I think it is a YA story, but yeah, I'm very, very intrigued. And yeah, I read Binti and I really, really liked Nydia Okorafor's writing. I listened to it on audio and it was really, really good. So I'm very intrigued to get to this one. And just this cover is stunning. And it's been looking at me on my shelves for a little while. Another one that I have and have had on my shelves for a long time is one that I've also heard really great things about. And this is a sci-fi. And this is by Tochi Onyebuchi. So we've got War Girls. So this is a sci-fi sort of story where we're following two sisters from what I remember. The year is 2172. Climate change and nuclear disasters have rendered much of Earth unlivable. Only the lucky ones have escaped to space colonies in the sky. In a war-torn Nigeria, battles are fought using flying, deadly mechs, and soldiers are outfitted with bionic limbs and artificial organs meant to protect them from harsh radiation heavy climate. Across the nation, as the years-long civil war wages on, survival becomes the only way to live. Two sisters, Onyi and Ifi, dream of more. Their lives have been marked by violence and political unrest. Still, they dream of peace, of hope, of a future together, and they are willing to fight an entire war to get there. I've heard really, really great things about this. This cover is stunning, and I love a good sci-fi story. So I'm definitely going to be picking this one up sometime soon. So yeah, that is a lot of the books that I have on my TBR that I'm very, very excited to get to. And yeah, I'm very excited to get to these. I'm going to be adding them into my TBRs over the next couple of months, and I'm very excited to be sharing these books with you. So let me know in the comments below if you've heard of any of these, or if you've added any of these to your TBR based on the synopsis that I was reading out to you. Make sure to like this video and subscribe if you want to see more content from me. Bye.